Peace, and welcome to another episode of the Quranic Remedies, where we spend about 15 minutes exploring a page from the Quran together and seeing how we can apply the verses to our lives. And hopefully, with God's permission, it helps us heal our brain, body, mind, and soul. So today we'll be reading from chapter 5, the table spread, from verses 1 to 5. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I seek refuge to God from the accursed devil. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the gracious, the merciful. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أوفوا بالعقود أحلت لكم بهيمة الأنعام إلا ما يتلى عليكم غير محل الصيد وأنتم حرم إن الله يحكم ما يريد. O you who believe, fulfill your commitments. Livestock animals are permitted for you except those specified to you, but not wild game while you are in pilgrim sanctity. God decrees whatever he wills. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تحلوا شعائر الله ولا الهدي ولا القلائد ولا الآمنين البيت الحرام يبتغون فضلا من ربهم ورضوانا وإذا حللتم فاصطادوا ولا يجرمنكم شناء قوم أن صدوكم عن المسجد الحرام أن تعتدوا وتعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان واتقوا الله إن الله شديد العقاب. O you who believe, do not violate God's sacraments, nor the sacred month, nor the offerings, nor the garlanded, nor those heading for the sacred house seeking blessings from their Lord and approval. When you have left the pilgrim sanctity, you may hunt, and let not the hatred of people who bared you from the sacred mosque incite you to aggression, and cooperate with one another in virtuous conduct and consciousness, and do not cooperate with one another in sin and hostility, and fear God. God is severe in punishment. حرمت عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أهل لغير الله به والمنخنقة والموقوذة والمتردية والنطيحة وما أكل السبع إلا ما ذكيتم وما ذبح على النصب وأن تستقسموا بالألزام ذلكم فسق. اليوم يئس الذين كفروا من دينكم فلا تخشوهم واخشوني اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا فمن اضطر في مخمصة غير متجانف لإثم فإن الله غفور رحيم. Prohibited for you are carrion, blood, the flesh of swine and animals dedicated to other than God. Also the flesh of animals that are strangled, killed violently, killed by a fall or gored to death, mangled by wild animals except what you rescue, and animals sacrificed on altars, and the practice of drawing lots, for it is immoral. Today those who disbelieve have despaired of your religion, so do not fear them but fear me. Today I have perfected your religion for you and have completed my favor upon you, and I have approved submission as a religion for you. But whoever is compelled by hunger with no intent of wrongdoing, God is forgiving and merciful. يسألونك ماذا أحل لهم قل أحل لكم الطيبات وما علمتم من الجوارح مكلبين تعلمونهن مما علمكم الله فكلوا مما أمسكنا عليكم واذكروا اسم الله عليه واتقوا الله إن الله سريع الحساب. They ask you what is permitted for them. Say, permitted for you are all good things, including what trained dogs and falcons catch for you. You train them according to what God has taught you. So eat from what they catch for you and pronounce God's name over it and fear God. God is swift in reckoning. اليوم أحل لكم الطيبات وطعام الذين أوتوا الكتاب حل لكم وطعامكم حل لهم والمحصنات من المؤمنات والمحصنات من الذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبلكم إذ أتيتموهن أجوروهن محصنين غير مسافحين ولا متخذي أخذان ومن يكفر بالإيمان فقد حبط عمله وهو في الآخرة من الخاسرين. Today all good things are made lawful for you, and the food of those given the scripture is lawful for you, and your food is lawful for them. So are chaste believing women and chaste women from the people who were given the scripture before you, provided you give them their dowries and take them in marriage, not in adultery nor as mistresses. But whoever rejects faith, his work will be in vain, and in the hereafter he will be among the losers. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. God the Great said the truth. So today we are starting with a new chapter, chapter 5. We read a little bit more than just one page. The verse here starts with something that's incredibly important, that we have to fulfill our vows. When we are individuals that are accepting from what God has told us that we are believers, then our words have to have values. When we are making a promise to somebody, we have to fulfill these vows. We have to fulfill our promises. Yes, there are conditions where we are not capable of fulfilling such conditions. And at that point, God is giving us a way so that we can expiate that oath. So the thing that we can clearly see is that our oaths are very important because we are following the way of God. And God himself, he never breaks his promises and he never changes his words. So when something has been agreed upon where God has accepted that agreement from you or that covenant from you, then he's going to do his part and you're going to have to do your part. And if you don't, then you have to realize that your Lord is a person that never breaks his promises. So you who's going through that path and trying to get closer to God and understanding the way of the Lord, which is what the prophets and the messengers are teaching us, then you should be people who are fulfilling the commitments and your oath. God is then now describing to us in this chapter in detail that what is permitted for us to eat and what is not permitted for us to eat. Notice how it's almost in a default value where everything's permitted. Everything is permitted for you to eat. And there are verses where God states that there are things that are better than others. God states as well here in Arabic, Bahimatul An'am. The word bahima, it almost means that it's like the dumb animals that are not very they're not the praise, but rather they're just the ones that are usually preyed upon. So like cows, camels, goats, rabbits, sheep, things of that nature, where it's not like lions and tigers, but it does not mean that it's not possible to eat lions or tigers, but good luck catching one and see how much food that you're able to produce of said animal and how good the food would be. So God has given you things that are good. So this is why he's saying to you like the good games, right? But now God is also giving us here within our what is due to us in our religion, things in regards to what it comes down to the pilgrimage. Because in the state of pilgrimage, when you are committing to that pilgrimage and you are committing to sanctify yourself and purify yourself, it is not permissible for you to take a soul or to take a life or to kill an animal. And at that point, anything that is in the wild where there is an involvement of you actually killing the animal in a way where they're bleeding, it is not permissible for you to do so. There is a clarification later in the verse in Surah where the fish is permissible because it shows us that there's a difference between the animals that are on the land and the fish that are in the sea. Now, God is telling us that these sacraments and these rituals that God has given us, these are things that we have to observe and we have to truly be mindful of them. Because we have to see these blessings that our God has given us and the approval, right? That we are committing to in us accepting this religion that God has bestowed upon us. The religion is to submit to God. And God is giving us the protocols, the ingredients, and the things that are required for us to be believers and submitters. So he's telling us there are rules in regards to what God has approved. There are entities and things that God has sanctified and he blessed them where we are no longer allowed to transgress in them. There's the sacred months, the offerings and the sacrifices that people are giving in the name of God, the God-landed, and those that are heading to the sacred house. We can't stop them or block them. And God is then telling us that when you finish your pilgrimage, then you can go ahead and go back to hunting and everything that is lawful for you. But at the same time, notice how this is something that we should really love. This sacred house and the concept of the pilgrimage and the visitation of the house. We should really respect that house where God is reminding us that just because people are blocking from you or they're committing sins in that house, it should not give you the right for you to go transgress or for you to work together and so that you would cause more hostility and sin. But rather, us as a community, we should work together in trying to improve the situation for people rather than to create problems. So here God is telling us, do not let the individuals that are causing problems incriminate you. Do not be a criminal thinking that you're going to get away with it. You should be inviting to peace in a way that is wise and honest, not in a way where it's retaliatory and you're trying to get vengeance and break the other individual until they are subdued to you. And this is why God is saying that we should fear him, because he is severe in punishment. We are in a state where God is talking here during the pilgrimage that we are sanctified. We are a people that are trying to purify ourselves and so that we can get closer to God. So we should not be in a position where we're trying to undermine that by going back to our animalistic nature of trying to undercut each other. So God is telling us again on what he has prohibited from, the swine, the blood, and whatever else is dedicated to God. And God carries on with the types of death that are not allowed. So something that has been strangled, or something that has drowned, or something that has been suffocated is not something that is accurate. Here, the individual is saying something that has been killed violently, right? It's more so الموقوذة المتردية. Here, it's not just violently. It's just like it's almost like it's killed in a way that it's very gory, and I believe that is yes, it is in a gory way, one that has fell to its death, and one that was like mangled pretty much, either by you or by wild animals. But if it's done by wild animals, the animal has killed it, because this is something that God has programmed the animal to get this prey. If you are capable of purifying parts of that meat, that is legal for you. So God is telling us here clearly that what is not permissible to eat. And then he's telling us as well, in regards to superstition, or in regards to how people like divide up the meat, like they'll do it in a way there is gambling, and it's there's a random chance, and the other thing is they're sacrificing it to other than God. Now we have to remember that removing the life of an animal, killing an animal, this is technically a murder. But when we say in the name of God, then God has permitted us. God is the one who is allowing this creature to be killed in the way that God is saying that it's permissible. And at this point, what's left is to cut its neck off and make it as quick as possible. In that moment, God is doing that sacrifice we're doing that sacrifice on behalf of God, and therefore it's permissible for us to eat, because this is saying that God has allowed us to do so. If you do not say in the name of God, or you dedicate it to something else, in that moment, then you're committing murder. It's not meat that you should be eating. It's a crime, right? And now God is telling us here that he has perfected our religion. This is exactly what we have to understand what religion is. It's things that are due to you. So God is telling you what you can eat and what you can't eat, and what is permissible and what is not permissible for you to consume. And he goes, today I have perfected for you your religion. So we've already understood what is not permissible, and then God has detailed it, and he said, I have fulfilled my blessings upon you and fulfilled your religion. So we talked about certain rites in regards to the pilgrimage. We talked about certain foods that are permissible, and then foods that are not permissible, and it started with fulfill your oath. And this is what is due from you, your religion. Okay, that's in the word Arabic, deen means something that is almost due out of you. So this is where God is saying that I've fulfilled the religion for you. I've completed my favor upon you. So obviously there is a temporal understanding that this verse is not the first or in the middle of the fifth chapter that was revealed to the prophet. It was revealed closer to the end, because that's the only way that it would make sense. And God has fulfilled that religion, which we find in this blessed book. But again, it's the language that God is opting to use, and the position where God has opted to use this word where he fulfilled the religion is after it came in the concepts of consumption. And people have asked the prophet, so what is legal? God says everything is legal. And even using prey, except what God has deemed illegal, and then using even methods like an animal, capturing an animal for you is okay. Now we have all this superstition in regards to dogs and being unclean and all of this. There are ways that you could train a dog to have something called a soft grasp. So he's not biting into the animal, he's just holding it with his teeth, right? It's a soft bite, and they can go get the things that you've hunted, or they themselves can jump and hunt the bird themselves. And it's the same thing with falcons. You can train these animals so that they do not devour, nor do they actually overhurt the animal that they're catching, whether it's the bird or whether it's a rabbit or things of that nature. So God has taught us, and we are the ones who are teaching these animals on how we can use them for them to bring us food. This is a huge blessing from God, and it shows that it is during the time of the kill where the name of God has to be uttered on it, and you say it on the animal, but it's not specific to one style of killing the animal or sacrificing the animal. And then finally, one other thing that is in regards to consumption is marriage. So there are women that you are allowed to consume, to have a relationship with. And there are women where it's not permissible for you to consume or have certain relationships with. Ones that are married, for example. And there's some relationships that you are not allowed to marry that individual or that lady because of who she is, i.e. your mother. Now, God is also telling us something here in regards to the people that came before us, the people of the scripture, the people of the book. There are people that practice to a certain extent to what they preach. And yes, so you can see through the Jewish community, they have the concept of kosher food, where the animal is sacrificed in a certain way, which God is saying that it's accepted from them. And in a fact, where they remember God during the sacrifice. Christians are supposed to have a similar ritual, a similar style of sacrifice, but unfortunately in this day and age they don't do so as much. So is this also, when God is telling us that their food is permissible, is that accurate? Well, I do believe when God is saying the people of the book, I truly believe it's the people who are practicing what they preach, what they are told to do. So if the person is just putting a cross on his restaurant, he's not really remembering God during the time when he's sacrificing these animals, then I don't think it falls under that category. Or if a girl is a Trinitarian and she's a person that does not have an outlook where she's remembering God often or pushing towards her hereafter, then again, I don't believe that these are the chaste believing women or the chaste women from the people of the scripture, that they're permissible. But notice how it says the people who are given the book before you. In our case, in this day and age, this would be inclusive to the Sunnis and the Shias, because they as a group have been given the book before us as believers, or technically they came after us. But I'm talking in regards to what we're observing in this day and age. So they would fall under the people who are given a book. And yes, a Sunni and Shia, to a person who's following the Quran alone, these are individuals that are permissible for you to marry. Just like how a Jew or a Unitarian Christian is permissible for you to marry. Yes, there's going to be obstacles in the relationships only due to how you are approaching your religion compared to what these individuals do. But our religion is very like it teaches about tolerance, and for us to not compromise in our religions. So we can tolerate the other individuals and what they practice and what they believe, and we can advise, but we do not need to compromise in what we do, and so that we can please the other individuals. So there is very clear cut in what animals or what food is permissible for you and what women are permissible for you. And this, I believe, goes the other way. So when God says that your parent or your mother is not permissible for you for marriage, then if he's discussing to a girl, it's going to be your father is not permissible for you to marriage. And in this case, that if a woman wants to marry a person from the people of the book who is a practicing and a person who's God conscious, I don't think that this is a problem, because this is going to also be something that is open to the women. And so because of the way the Quran again is presenting itself, the majority of the time the Quran is speaking and addressing the men, but it's also being understood to what the women are allowed to do and not. There is no blocking of the women not marrying the people of the book. So because there is no such case, and I know people can say that this is an argument of silence, but there is nothing that's qualifying that it's not permissible for her, even though some people see it this way in this day and age, where, for example, in the groups that are considered the Sunnis, that a man can marry a Jewish girl, but the Sunni women cannot marry a Jewish man, which does not make sense at that point. Now, God again is telling us that we still have those women that you're marrying from the people of the book, as well as the believing women. They have the same rights. They have the same rights from you if you are going to engage in marrying them. But notice now, here's one thing. But whoever rejects faith, his work will be in vain, and in the hereafter he will be among the losers. So these conditions that God has imposed on us in the Quran, and what to eat and what not to eat, the reason why we do them is because it's a concept of faith. If you're going to find a girl and take her as a secret lover, then you're not believing in what God has said. And it's very easy to have these moral arguments and what's wrong with that, and we're human beings and it's just love and all of this other stuff that people come up with when they're committing such crimes. But God is telling us that he's going to be among the losers, that his work is in vain, that he has not actually accomplished much, only because he is going against the religion that God has outlined. Because this religion safeguards us as humans from a very bad downfall, where we start to get sealed and we forget God and we do not remember God often, and then we end up losing ourselves and losing who we are. And this is what God is safeguarding us from us to not be degenerate societies. And this is why, even in this world and the hereafter, our works are not going to avail us much. So this is why I implore you to stick to the religion of God, to explore these verses that God has given us, and so that you are capable of applying it and fulfill the commitments and your oaths. Because God has started this verse or this chapter with it, and I believe that it's a very good baseline to what this chapter is telling us. So these are all oaths that when God has said that if we say that we're submitters, then this is what is due from us. Who you can marry and what you can eat. These are things that are pertaining to your religion. And with that said, all praise to our Lord, the Lord of the worlds, and peace be upon you.